Okay, welcome everyone to session one. There won't be a lecture from me every session. Sometimes there might be an extra reading or something, but I will normally post some type of lecture video if I feel like the book or the materials just don't capture everything that need to be captured. And so typically, these will be between 10 and 20 minutes, hopefully not too long. But again, it's to supplement those other materials, not necessarily replace them, or I'm not saying that this video is more important than the other readings I gave you, but helps kind of paint a whole picture. And so in this first session, we are just really looking at introducing what is digital marketing strategy? Why do we use it? What value does it add? Why do we use digital marketing? Why is it taken off over the past 10 to 20 years? And why should we be thinking about it? So over the next 10 to 20 minutes, hopefully we'll be able to kind of share and answer some of those questions. But before we do that, and I kind of start every one of my classes, this is kind of the first teaching moment of this class, to talk about what is marketing, right? So I'm not going to assume that all of you are going to be marketers. You're part of an MBA program, might be going more towards the management side, or maybe more towards accounting or finance or whatever concentration you're in. And so maybe you've never had this conversation before about, what is marketing? How do we define it? Because I think if you, at least in my experience, when I would go tell people, hey, I'm studying marketing, or yeah, I'm getting a PhD in marketing, or yeah, I teach marketing, the number one response I get from them is, oh, you must be great at sales. And in complete transparency, I'm probably one of the worst salesmen that you will ever meet. I don't like the negotiation. Just not good at it. I'm not good at closing the deal, right? What I am good at though is understanding kind of human psychology and understanding what messages are effective. And that is part of marketing that a lot of people overlook. They just think it's sales, or oh, you're probably great at, you make commercials for a living. Advertisements are part of marketing for sure, but that's not all that marketing is. And so before we jumped into digital marketing strategy, I think we need to all be on the same page with what is marketing as a practice. And so how I like to kind of negate there are some just negative stereotypes that marketers get. Rightfully so. A lot of people might think, okay, marketers are cunning and deceitful, that all we're interested in is deceiving the customers into making purchases that they don't need, or they don't even want. We're tricking them basically. And what I would say is that no, rather good marketers are trying to meet needs, right? We're looking to serve customers. We're not trying to trick them, not trying to deceive them. We're trying to serve them. And sometimes that deception or that tricking gets confused. People get confused, feel like they're being deceived, when really we're just really good at knowing our customers and knowing what they want. A lot, like I said, I'm very good and very knowledgeable in human psychology. And so sometimes things in our minds or in our hearts are not even conscious. We don't even realize that we're thinking about something, or we're wanting something, or we desire something. But it is a part of who we are. And marketers, good marketers, are good at knowing that. Another stereotype, marketers are great salespeople. I already mentioned this. Rather, good marketers are opportunists, right? We're not just great at making a sale. We're good at seeing opportunities that are in front of us and taking advantage of those opportunities. Marketers are inauthentic. Common criticism of marketers that all we're worried about is shoving product down people's throats. But in my opinion, good marketers value customers and profits, right? We can't have a business, we can't have a company that's successful without money, right? People have to buy things. But I think good marketers also put some value on customer and a customer relationship and serving a customer, rather than just focusing on profits. And then finally, marketers make us buy things we don't need. Again, common criticism. And again, all these are not without merit. There are marketers that are deceitful. There are marketers that are only focused on sales. There are inauthentic marketers, and there are marketers that can make you buy something you don't need. But what I would say instead is that good marketers are effective in appealing to customer desires. We know our customers. We put in the work to understand how our customers think, how they feel, what they want, what they desire. And as a result, we try to present them with something that they might want. Okay, so, oh, sorry, jumped ahead. If we were going to kind of combine all of this stuff into a definition of marketing, that kind of a fancy way of saying it is that marketing is the process of entering into a relationship of exchange for value. Okay, so that might be a little confusing. Let me try to make it a little bit more simple. The first aspect is that marketing involves building relationships. We're entering into relationships with people. Like I said, good marketers know their customers. A relationship is formed between marketer and customer. So that's the first part. No, we're not just selling to random strangers. We're selling to customers that we know. We're communicating with customers that we know. The second part, the second aspect is, yes, we're entering into a relationship, and then we're exchanging value. So the value that we're giving to our customers is the product or service that we're offering. The value that they're giving to us primarily is money. Like I said, you can't have a business without money, without profits. But there's other things that they give us. They give us loyalty. They come back. They make repeat purchases. They give us exposure. They spread word of mouth about us. And so there's a lot of value that we receive from customers apart from just money. But then there's a final kind of aspect of marketing. Yes, we're building relationships with customers. We're exchanging value with them. And we're also maintaining that relationship. There's a maintenance aspect of marketing. So if you think about this like human relationships, like with your friends, you build relationships and you also maintain them, right? You're thinking about your best friends or even maybe with your family, you're calling them a lot. You call them, you talk to them, you keep up with them. The same thing goes here. It takes work to maintain relationships with customers. It takes work to maintain relationships with friends. If you don't work to maintain that relationship with your friends, you no longer have friends. Years will go by and you'll realize, oh, I haven't talked to that person in years because you didn't maintain it. You didn't put in the work to maintain it. And so marketing is thought of to be a lot of different things, sales, advertising, whatever it might be. But next time somebody asks you about marketing or says something like, hey, you must be a great salesman. This is a good way to explain it. Like, no, I'm just building relationships with people and I'm exchanging value with them. That's all that marketing is. So I wanted to kind of paint that picture first before we jump into actual digital marketing, because digital is just a different lens that we look at this through. So what we're going to be looking at the rest of the semester is how do we use digital to make relationships with people, to exchange value with people, and to maintain this relationship. That's all it is. And so before we look at it through that lens, we need to look at it through just a basic marketing lens as well. So now let's get into digital a little bit. This is kind of the evolution of where we are and where we have been. Started with email and now we're in this kind of smart environment, this Internet of Things where everything is connected, everything is smart, capable, even somewhat autonomous. And this is kind of, timelines. You don't have to memorize any of these things, but just a general kind of timeline. And none of these are are not important. You might think, oh, email marketing, that sounds so boring. It sounds so ineffective. Who reads spam emails? Email marketing is super effective if you do it correctly. And so there are so many different ways you can get into digital marketing. You might hear, all the recent podcasts and all the, new books coming out. It's all about AI and marketing, AI and marketing. And we will talk about that. Your project largely looks at AI and marketing, but we cannot forget to go back to the basics of digital. Okay, let's do email marketing really well. Let's do SEO, search engine optimization really well. That is, how do we show up on search engines? Let's do social media really well. Let's do mobile really well. And then we get into this kind of more futuristic AI and marketing. But all of these are still viable ways to reach people, to build relationships, to exchange value. Here's just another graphic to showing kind of the different aspects. So what we're going to talk about today in regards to strategy is if you've never taken marketing classes before, or maybe if this is your first one, if you ever did take a marketing course before, you probably heard something called the marketing mix. And it's this combination of either 4 or 7 P's. I like the 7 P's of marketing. And these are just different areas that marketers need to focus on when bringing a product or service to market, to customers. We need to focus on the product itself. What is it? The price of that, the place, where are you going to offer it to your customers? Is it just online or is it in a physical store? Is it physical evidence? Meaning, if nobody had ever heard about your company before, what could they find online or in person that would give them a clue of what you do? Maybe it is promotion. How do you actually advertise? It could be your process. How do you actually get your product to market? What is the supply chain that gets your product to market? And then finally, the people. Who do you have representing you? So these are all different aspects, and I could, spend a whole semester on the 7 P's of marketing. But that's not the point of this course. But these are things that we need to focus on. And this is traditional marketing practice. Now, this is not a traditional marketing class. This is a digital marketing class. And so with that, there's been a new framework that kind of adapts these 7 P's of marketing into what they call the 7 A's of digital marketing. Okay, and we're going to talk about each one of these pretty briefly. But this is something that your textbook doesn't cover. And so I wanted to kind of show you how these are the value that digital brings or adds to the traditional 7 P's of marketing through the 7 A's. Okay. So the first one is advance. And so the digital marketing gives us this ability to advance our customers in the buying process. What do I mean by that? Well, everybody goes through, when they're searching for a product or service, goes through this funnel. Okay, they're just they're not even aware that your product is out there, and now they become aware. And now once they're aware of it, let's say you're selling, pickleball paddles. You're a pickleball paddle company, and your company has this revolutionary pickleball paddle. It's made out of, I don't know, some kind of carbon fiber, something that's never been, a pickleball paddle's never been made of before. So most people that play pickleball are not going to know, they're not going to be aware that you are out there until you make them aware, until you either, create some type of content, you go to a trade show, whatever it might be. Customers become aware. There is this first sense of, wow, I didn't know that was being made. I didn't know this existed. That's the awareness kind of section of the funnel. And then once they do that, once they're aware, then they actually start to consider, well, I'm currently using a graphite pickleball paddle. Maybe I need to use a carbon fiber paddle instead. They're starting to consider, should I make the change? Should I not? Okay, so then you move them even further into conversion. You have convinced them, or you have informed them that, carbon fiber is the way of the future for pickleball paddles. And so they actually finally pull the trigger and they make the switch. And then hopefully once they make the switch, you can move them into the last section of the funnel, which is loyalty, meaning Hopefully you delivered on what you said you would, and the carbon fiber is the future pickleball paddle. And now they love it, and that's all they use. And they tell their friends about it. They have become loyal to you. And not only just loyal to carbon fiber, but loyal to your carbon fiber paddles, nobody else's. They become loyal. And so digital marketing has a unique way of moving people through this funnel because we can provide more information, cheaper information, more entertaining content. We can track conversions easier, and we can follow up with people to kind of gauge this loyalty aspect. It's easier than ever before to contact and stay in touch with our customers through digital, either through mobile, through social media, whatever it might be. So the first A of digital marketing strategy is let's advance them through this funnel. And digital marketing provides easier ways to do that. The second A is allure. So let's attract and fascinate consumers. And this has become easier to do because of all the digital capabilities that we have. We can use artificial intelligence to create an advertisement in minutes that is super funny or super engaging or very emotional. We can put in music, we can put in graphics, we can do all these types of things to attract and fascinate customers. Now, where the allure strategy really comes into play is that awareness section of the funnel. People become aware through fascination. It gets their attention. And so digital provides more capabilities than you could even imagine to allure your customers or to fascinate them. Okay, and then we add. So what is digital marketing? How does it add value above traditional? There are plenty of ways. It could be ease of contacting your customers. It could be ease of tracking data. We have just data at our fingertips about our customers and their behavior. It could be providing customer service through, actually somebody responding on a search engine or on social media. It could be using a chat bot. And all of this is done way more cheaply than if you were actually doing it in the traditional, analog way. It's a little bit easier to follow customer preferences using digital because we actually are able to know customer preferences. It's easier to know customer preferences through tracking behavior online, through surveys online. There are lots of ways that we can use digital to know and understand and abide by customer preferences. Another thing that digital is helpful in is associating or building these associations with our brand. So this is mainly done through content that we create. It could be social media posts, it could be blog posts, videos that comes out, content that other third parties write about us or create about us. And it's this building this big web of associations with our brand, which before with just traditional analog capabilities, it took longer and it was more expensive to kind of continually build these associations. But there's so much content out there right now that you start to build these associations fairly quickly. Now it can kind of go off the reins. I think we've all probably seen things like the Chipotle, all this Chipotle talk about Chipotle and how they're shortchanging us on the portions and all this kind of stuff. Those are associations that are built through digital that we might not always want. And so you have to keep your hand on the pulse to kind of figure out, okay, what is being associated to our brand and what isn't. So even things like comment sections on posts, they can go crazy. And so you always have to kind of keep your finger on the pulse and understand what is being said about my brand and how is my brand being perceived. But all in all, digital is fairly good at building this kind of web or network of associations. Digital gives us the ability to adjust or pivot to follow what our customers want. Like I said, it's easier to know what our customers want, and it's easier to adapt. Um, so if you're running a huge traditional, print campaign or something like that, it takes a lot of money to change the designs, and traditionally it would, but now it's like, okay, if you want to go a completely different direction, maybe you were running a series of YouTube ads that were fairly comical, and you wanted to move towards more emotional. It's not that hard. You change the music, you might change some colors, you just change the general message of the content, and it's done. It could be within 30 minutes, and so you're able to really adapt and be flexible. And then I believe this is the last one, analyze. Digital gives us unprecedented power to analyze data, that we can track our customers' behavior on our websites, on our platforms, on the emails that we send out, and we can actually make data-driven decisions, which is kind of a business school buzzword that you'll hear probably in every class you take. Companies are looking to make data-driven decisions. Digital marketing gives marketers that power, that we can not only see if an advertisement is performing well, or is getting a lot of impressions, but we can understand perceptions of that content. Not just, oh, is somebody watching it, but are they watching it out of joy, or are they watching it out of hatred? You can know that stuff. And so that's huge, super powerful. Okay. So we're gonna kind of wrap this up and zone in on kind of that last the analyze of digital marketing strategy. And it's this idea that, yes, we can analyze, we have the power to analyze, but there must be an objective. You're going to read an article, I believe, in the next session talking about the marketing myopia, which is this idea that we're just kind of blindly making decisions, that we're collecting all this data, but we're not collecting it for a reason. There's not an objective. And so data is only as powerful as the objective that it's looking to answer, or the question that it's looking to answer. If you're just collecting data blindly, a lot of times it could be meaningless if you're not actually applying it to a certain question or to a certain objective. So we've all heard these before. Let's make SMART objectives: very specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, time bound. I'm not going to go through all that. If you want to look at this acronym, it's overused, but it is applicable in this case. But you can look that up more. But what I want to kind of focus on here is that KPIs, or key performance indicators, are crucial in regards to making sense of data. And I'll go into an example in just a second. And then ultimately, there has to be a target. So with a KPI, there's some type of performance indicator that you're looking at, and you have to have a specific target that you're trying to meet. What is considered success? What is considered failure in regards to that KPI? So let's look at some examples. Digital, these are kind of objectives that you can look at. Like I said, there has to be an objective for your data. So are you looking to just convert customers? Are you looking to look at retention and loyalty? Are you looking at interactive sales? Are you trying to build a brand image? Are you trying to just provide information? Those are all objectives. So let's look at this example. Our objective here is to build an online reputation. Okay, maybe we work at a little small mom and pop shop in town in Belton, and we never had any social media, never had any website, and we're just trying to build an online reputation. Great, that's the objective, right? But that's pretty broad. Okay, so then we get into goals, KPIs, and targets, right? So our goal with building an online reputation is, okay, let's actually get some interaction with our brand on social media, and hopefully let's get other people to mention us in other discussions, right? So that's our goal. Okay, how do we do that? Well, let's look at key performance indicators. Let's look at Instagram engagements. Let's look at how many people are subscribing to our YouTube channel, how many people are mentioning us on Reddit. Those are good KPIs. Okay, but those are all great, but then what's actually considered a success? For us to say, yes, we have built our online reputation, what needs to happen? Well, maybe it's this. Maybe it's we have 1,000+ Instagram engagements per week. We have 10 plus subscriptions per video. And maybe we have 50 mentions per week on Reddit, right? So this is kind of how you go from big bird's eye umbrella objective to very targeted, measurable end goals, end targets. What is considered a success? Okay, maybe we're wanting to acquire more customers. Maybe we have a lack of customers. Okay, we're going to do that through optimizing our search engine. So that means, okay, what can we do on our website or on our social media to become more visible on Google? And then, yeah, maybe we will pay for real estate on those search engines as well through paid search advertising. Great. And then maybe our KPIs are going to be, okay, let's measure, how long does this session last? How long do they stay on our page? How quickly do they exit our page through the bounce rate? How many times did they click on our ads? How many times did they click onto our website? All of those things are good KPIs to measure. And then you would want to go one step further and actually have a target. Okay, so this is another example. You can look through this. I'm not going to explain this one again. The same thing though. You're wanting to have this big bird's eye objective with branding. How are you going to do it? Through social media marketing and affiliate marketing. And what are some KPIs that you can use to measure? And what would actually be considered a success for that KPI? Okay. And one more. Just want to give you an example over and over that data is only as important, only as meaningful as the objective, as the goal, as the KPI, and of the target that you set. If you're just trying to look at data blindly, you're going to have a hard time making meaning of it. Okay, so that's the end. Sorry, this one probably ran a little bit long, but the rest should not. Just need to kind of set the foundation for what is marketing, what does digital provide us on top of those traditional 7 Ps? It's those 7 As. If you need a refresher, go back and watch, rewind this video, go back and watch it. And as you go throughout this week, make sure you stay on top of your assignments, make sure you stay on top of your readings, and specifically stay on top of your Google Analytics stuff. Don't want to get behind on that because it does take several hours to complete. And so I wouldn't want you to wait until the very end. As always, let me know if you have any questions. And if not, I'll see you next time.